My name is Aurora Vance, 29 years old. The Montgomery estate smells like pine and cinnamon, but it might as well be formaldehyde. I stand in the center of the living room, my fingers locked around a cream-colored gift box wrapped in silk ribbon, and I can't stop staring at what's inside. A lifetime VIP membership to Last Chance Love, an app explicitly marketed to desperate singles over 30. And beneath it, a hardcover book with raised gold lettering. How to Find Happiness When You Die Alone. Classy. The fire roars in the marble fireplace behind me. Outside the French windows, snow falls in thick, soundless sheets, blanketing the manicured grounds like a clean white lie. But inside this room, the cold has nothing to do with December weather. Bella giggles. The sound is high and sharp, echoing off the vaulted ceiling like breaking glass. I saw it on TikTok, my sister says, her voice dripping with manufactured sweetness. The reviews were amazing. 5 stars for women who've basically given up. I thought it was perfect for you. I still don't look up. I keep my eyes on that horrible pastel app card in the box, on the cartoon illustration of a wilting flower that's supposed to represent women like me, women who, in Bella's world, have expired. Take it, dear. My mother's voice slices across the room. Trinity Montgomery is perched on the ivory settee like it's a throne, posture so rigid she could be carved from the same stone as the fireplace. Bella's just worried about your future, she adds. Don't let your ego turn you into a spinster forever. My father says nothing. Richard Montgomery stands near the bar cart, swirling bourbon in a crystal tumbler, studying the amber liquid like it holds answers he'll never bother sharing with me. His business partner, Harrison Sterling, shifts in the leather armchair beside him, jaw tight. Preston Sterling, Bella's fiancé, suddenly finds something deeply fascinating on his phone screen. I close the box, slowly. My hands don't shake, but something inside my chest feels like a hairline fracture widening. 8 months. 8 months since I sent those invitations. I see myself at my dining table in Austin all over again, hands stained with ink, velvet ribbons scattered like burgundy snakes across the wood. 3 evenings choosing the exact cardstock, testing the weight between my fingers. 300 grams, heavy enough to whisper, "This matters." Nate had leaned in the doorway, arms crossed, watching me. "Are you sure you don't want to call them?" he'd asked quietly. I'd tied another bow, smoothing the ribbon with my thumb until it sat perfectly in the center. "They're my parents," I'd said. "They wouldn't miss this." I remember the ceremony starting 30 minutes late because I kept glancing at 2 empty chairs in the front row, reserved for Mom, reserved for Dad. Little wooden plaques I'd painted myself, decorated with daisies because my mother once mentioned liking them. 7 years ago, in passing. But I remembered. I remember standing there in my wedding dress with Nate's hand in mine while the officiant cleared his throat and the coordinator whispered, we really had to start. I remember telling myself maybe their flight was delayed. Maybe their phones died. Maybe. No call, no text, no flowers. Just 2 empty chairs and a new story my family could pretend never existed. Well, Bella leans forward on the sofa now, blonde hair tumbling over one shoulder like it practiced the fall in a mirror. Her engagement ring catches the firelight, a 3-carat diamond that cost more than my entire wedding. Aren't you going to say thank you? Part of me wants to hurl the box into the fire and watch it curl and blacken. Part of me wants to walk out of these massive oak doors like I've done a dozen times before, drag my suitcase back to the airport, and fly home to where Nate is probably heating up leftover Thai food and wondering if I'm okay. But I am so tired of running. Harrison clears his throat. Perhaps we should move on to dinner, he suggests, his voice neutral in that way only lawyers and men with a lot to lose can manage. I believe the caterers have everything ready. Bella's smirk widens. She knows she's scored a hit. She always does. Only this time something inside me doesn't break. It snaps. Not my heart. That's been breaking in this house since I was old enough to understand that some children are treasured and others are tolerated. No, what snaps is something harder. Older. The chains labeled, good daughter, second best, maybe if you try harder. I finally look up. My eyes meet Bella's. Her triumphant expression falters just a fraction. There's something in my face she doesn't recognize, something cold and clean and final. Thank you, Bella, I say. My voice comes out smooth, almost pleasant. I'll keep this very carefully. I tuck the box under my arm like evidence, because that's exactly what it is. Aurora, don't be dramatic, Trinity says, frowning. It's just a thoughtful gift. Oh, I know. I let my smile widen a millimeter. It's very thoughtful, very telling. Richard finally looks at me, his gray eyebrows draw together. Aurora, he says, my name edged like a warning, the same tone he used when I was 16 and suggested that maybe Bella didn't need a brand new BMW for her first car when I got a 10-year-old Honda. The tone that means don't make a scene, don't embarrass us, don't exist too loudly in a room your sister is standing in. Yes, Dad? I ask. His mouth opens, closes. He turns back to his bourbon instead. Preston rises abruptly, shoving his phone into his pocket. I need some air, he mutters, heading toward the terrace doors. It's freezing out there, Bella calls after him, panic flickering across her perfect features. Preston, wait. He hesitates, snow glow spilling around him from the French doors, then sighs and drifts back toward the group moving into the dining room. But there's distance now, a hairline crack between them. Harrison gestures stiffly. Shall we? The dining room looks like a magazine spread. Chandelier sending diamond shards of light across the white linen, crystal gleaming, flatware aligned with military precision. Trinity taps her spoon against her water glass, and the clear chime slices through the small talk like a scalpel. Before we begin, my mother announces, voice pitched for maximum projection, I want to toast this very special season, the year of the bride. Bella straightens like someone pulled a string in her spine. Her practiced smile blooms, soft and luminous, as if on cue. She's been waiting for that line her entire life. My youngest daughter, Trinity continues, lifting her wineglass toward Bella, will be married this February in what I can only describe as a modern royal event. 300 guests, the ballroom at the Four Seasons, a dress that took 6 months to design. Preston shifts beside Bella, his jaw tight. Harrison studies his salad fork like it's the most interesting thing he's ever seen. Bella has always known how to do things properly, my mother says, and the word properly lands on my skin like a slap, with grace, with consideration for family. My father raises his glass in agreement. He still hasn't looked at me. I cut into my filet mignon. The knife glides through the meat like it's nothing, but my hand feels welded to the handle. And what about you, Aurora? Trinity asks, setting down her glass with a delicate click. Her gaze swings to me, eyes bright with faux concern and something sharper beneath. You're approaching 30. You can't plan to live with plants forever, can you? The table goes silent. Even the catering staff seem to freeze mid-pour. When is it your turn? She asks. The question hangs there, heavy and oily. I set my silverware down gently. The faint clink feels like a gavel dropping. I'm not single, Mother, I say. My voice is calm, steady. It feels like I'm speaking from a very deep, very quiet place. I've been married for 8 months. My mother's face goes through 3 expressions too fast to catch. Confusion, disbelief, anger. Liar, she spits. Her hand slams down on the table hard enough to rattle the glassware. Why would no one know about this? Did you secretly elope in Vegas? Is that why you've been so distant? I didn't elope in Vegas, I say. Bella's gone pale, but she recovers quickly. She always does. Are you making up stories to ruin my engagement party? Her voice wobbles perfectly, a violin string pulled to the edge of snapping. You've always been jealous of me, Aurora, but this is pathetic, even for you. She turns to Preston, fingers clutching his sleeve. Can you believe this? But Preston isn't looking at her. He's looking at me, attorney brain, clearly calculating something he doesn't like. I sent invitations, I say. I still sound bored. It's almost funny how disconnected my voice and my pulse are. My heart is trying to punch through my ribs. My tone could be reading a grocery list. FedEx overnight in February. My father sets his glass down so hard, bourbon sloshes over the edge. If you sent invitations and didn't get a reply, he snaps, why didn't you call? Why didn't you follow up? You did this on purpose, didn't you? To embarrass us in front of the Sterlings? And there it is. The answer I've been pretending not to know, spelled out for me like a blueprint. They didn't forget. They chose. They are gaslighting me now, in real time, with witnesses, rewriting history while I sit here holding the receipts they don't know exist yet. Something inside me settles, fully. All the last ragged threads of hope curl and ash. Under the table, beneath the linen, I slide my phone out of my clutch. My thumb finds Nate's name. I type one word. Now. The message marks as delivered. Then read. I slip the phone back into my lap and spear a piece of asparagus like nothing happened. Aurora, my mother says, voice rising into that dangerous register I used to run from. Stop this nonsense and apologize to your sister. For what? I asked softly. For getting married? For inviting my family? Which part is the problem? Bella's eyes are shining with unshed tears, that perfect edge where they catch the light. I can't believe you'd lie about something like this on Christmas Eve. I'm not lying, I say. Then prove it, my father snaps. I meet his eyes across the table, hold them. Okay. At that moment, my phone buzzes once against my thigh. System accessed. Ready when you are. Nate. I lift my gaze past my father's shoulder to the 85-inch smart TV mounted over the fireplace in the adjoining sitting room, currently playing a looping log fire screensaver to match the real one. I know every line of wire behind that wall. I drew the plans. I installed the first version of this system for a fraction of what my work was worth because family discount builds goodwill, Aurora. Tonight, it's going to build something else. Actually, I say, standing up from the table, the room tilting just slightly in my periphery, I think we should skip dessert. I walk toward the TV. My heels click against the hardwood, each step measured, unhurried. There's something everyone needs to see. The room shifts behind me. Chairs creak, silverware stills, conversations die mid-breath. I can feel all of them watching as I cross the threshold into the sitting room, the glow of the fireplace licking at the edges of the stone hearth. My reflection flickers faintly in the 85-inch screen mounted above it, a ghost stretched thin and tall across glass and flame. Aurora, sit down, my mother snaps, that razor-sharp edge back in her voice. This is not the time. Not tonight. I turn toward the TV, lifting my hands slightly as if touching empty air. You always believe Bella unconditionally, I say, my voice calm enough to unsettle them. But have you forgotten, I pause, looking directly at my mother, what my husband does for a living? A ripple moves across the table like a current. Trinity blinks. What does that have to do with anything? Everything, I murmur. In the reflection, I see Preston straighten. Bella stiffens. Richard's fingers freeze around his bourbon glass. Harrison looks like he's silently praying for the ground to swallow him. I pull my phone from my clutch, holding it up so the screen catches the firelight. The message thread with Nate glows like a soft blue fuse leading to an explosion. 3 letters, now, sent by me, read by him. Behind me, someone inhales sharply. Right on cue, the TV screen flickers. The cozy log-fire screensaver dissolves into black. Harrison jolts to his feet. What is she doing? Turn that off. Trinity's voice spikes to hysteria. Aurora, but I'm already facing them. I'm the system administrator of this house, I say, my tone gentle, almost teacherly. Dad hired me to install every smart device after the renovation, never updated the admin password, never changed the access protocol. I warned you. Twice, if I recall correctly. Richard's face drains. Aurora, you don't have permission to... I have legal access, I cut in smoothly. All I'm doing is retrieving my own data. Data? Trinity repeats, baffled and angry. What data? The screen behind me lights up. Not with a movie, not with a browser window, but with a computer desktop. Blue background, orderly rows of folders, a small white text in the corner. Remote access active. The cursor moves across the screen without anyone touching a remote. Nate. Working from our office in Austin, fingers flying across keys, 2,000 miles away, connected through a system I built in a house they underestimated. Bella surges to her feet. Turn that off. You're hacking our home. Incorrect, I reply. 3 more folders appear, expanding like blooming flowers. Project Truth Evidence, CCTV Archive. Richard slams his glass down. Aurora, stop this at once. You're embarrassing your mother. Embarrassing her? After 30 years of being her family's emotional crash pad, after 8 months of them pretending my entire marriage didn't exist, after a Christmas gift telling me to die alone, the cursor glides toward a folder labeled Project Truth. The room holds its breath. Nate opens it. A series of files populate the screen. PDFs, screenshots, time-stamped logs. I walk back towards the dining room entrance, leaning lightly against the archway as if settling in for a movie. Aurora, Bella says tightly, what exactly do you think you're proving? The first file opens. A scanned FedEx receipt fills the screen. High resolution, crystal clear. The signature line unmistakable. Isabella Montgomery, signed in dramatic loops and flourishes. Date, February 12th. Time, 10:15 a.m. Delivery type, express overnight. Preston's head jerks up. Bella freezes. Trinity gasps, hand flying to her mouth. Richard goes completely still. This, I say softly, is the receipt from the FedEx package containing my wedding invitations. Richard straightens like someone pulled a string in his spine. We get dozens of packages. This doesn't mean anything. Bella nods vigorously. Exactly. I don't remember every package I signed for. The cursor moves again. Another file opens. Trinity's Gmail filters. A long list of rules appears, but Nate highlights the one at the top, a filter marked with a red flag. Rule name, wedding block. If email subject contains wedding and Aurora, action. Delete permanently, do not archive, skip inbox. Created, February 14th, IP address, Bella's iPhone. Trinity's eyes widen, horror spreading across her face like ink in water. Bella? She whispers. It wasn't malicious, Bella bursts out immediately. I was trying to help. Her wedding wasn't up to our standards. Up to your standards? Preston snaps, his voice low and dangerous. Bella, this is deranged. She's twisting everything, Bella cries. Mom's email gets overwhelming. I was organizing, helping the family. Harrison Sterling, who has been quiet until now, speaks with the calm of a man about to ruin lives professionally. Organizing, he repeats, by permanently deleting anything related to your sister's wedding. Bella's eyes dart wildly around the table looking for a safe face. There isn't one. The cursor moves again. Nate opens the next file. CCTV archive. Bella lunges forward as if she can physically stop the screen from changing. No, don't play that. Please sit, Harrison says sharply. The footage starts. A crystal clear view from the front door camera, one I remember installing myself. The timestamp, February 12th, 10:14 a.m. The FedEx truck pulls up. The driver climbs out with a familiar blue package. He rings the bell. Bella appears moments later in yoga pants and a cropped hoodie, ponytail bouncing. She smiles at the driver, signs the tablet, takes the package. Then she reads the return address. Me and Nate, my wedding invitations. Her face changes. Not confusion, not worry, not protectiveness. Cold annoyance, then anger. She glances around, checks left, right, then walks straight to the recycling bin, throws the package in, doesn't open it, doesn't hesitate, doesn't look back. The video ends. No one moves. No one speaks. Even the air seems to still. Preston's chair screeches against the floor as he stands. You threw your sister's wedding invitations in the trash? He asks, voice shaking. Bella opens her mouth. Preston! No. He steps back from her like she's radioactive. Don't. Just don't. Richard looks at Bella, then at me, then at the screen, then back at Bella. My mother's face is gray. And Bella cracks. This is your fault, she screams suddenly. You always ruin everything. You always play the victim. But Preston's gaze has hardened. I'm done, he says quietly. Bella freezes. Preston! He pulls the engagement ring off her finger. The 3-carat diamond catches the chandelier light one last time before he sets it on the table with a sharp click that echoes like a gunshot. We're over. Richard surges up. Preston, don't be rash. But Harrison cuts him off. A man who cannot manage his household cannot manage a business, Harrison says coldly. The Sterling-Montgomery merger? Consider it canceled. Trinity gasps. Richard goes ashen. Bella collapses into her chair, hands trembling, face blotchy with panic. She lashes out one last time. I swear I'll ruin you, Aurora. I'll tell everyone you faked all of this. No, I say softly. She looks up, startled by the quiet. You won't, I continue, because the moment you lie about me publicly, I submit that CCTV footage to federal authorities. I tilt my head. Mail tampering is a felony. Title 18, Section 1708, up to 5 years in prison. Dior and Cartier won't keep a brand ambassador under federal investigation. Bella's mouth opens. Nothing comes out. I walk to the table and set the cream-colored gift box in front of her, right beside her abandoned ring. Keep it, I say. You need it more than I do. My mother whispers, Aurora, please, we can fix this. No, I say, and I walk out, through the foyer, past the family portraits, down the marble steps, into the cold December air that feels like freedom. My Uber waits at the bottom of the circular drive. Logan Airport, I tell the driver. As we pull away, I look back one last time at the glowing windows of the Montgomery estate. Beautiful, hollow, like a mausoleum built for a family that never lived inside it. My phone buzzes. Nate. His face appears on the screen, tired and worried and utterly mine. Is it done? He asks. It's done, I say, voice steady. Let's go home. 3 days passed. 3 days of quiet mornings in Austin, of Nate reheating soup and brushing his fingers over the small of my back every time he walked past me in the kitchen. 3 days where the world felt soft again, real again. 3 days before the Montgomerys remembered I existed and remembered they had something to lose. It was late afternoon when the FedEx truck pulled up outside our house. I'd just finished putting away groceries, sleeves still rolled up, hair tied in a loose knot. Through the window, I watched the driver jog up the walkway with a familiar flat parcel tucked under his arm. A blue and white box, express overnight, just like the ones I had sent 8 months ago. My breath caught. Nate walked in behind me, drying his hands on a towel. Package? From my father, I said. I didn't need to open it to know. My father always used money the way other people used apologies. Impersonal, controlled, transactional. But I opened it anyway. Inside lay a crisp check, $50,000. The number felt obscene, printed in stark black ink. Beneath it, a small typed note on his architectural firm's letterhead. I'm sorry, please stay silent about the contract. I didn't laugh, though something in me wanted to. It was insane, really, how they thought silence was something they could buy in bulk, like a commodity. I held the check between 2 fingers, staring at the man who believed a number could fix everything he'd broken. Nate saw the look on my face and didn't try to speak. He just stepped close behind me, rested a hand on my lower back, and said softly, You decide, whatever you choose, I'm with you. His voice, steady and warm, contrasted so sharply with the cold weight of the paper in my hand. For a brief, flickering second, the old version of me, the daughter who had once begged for scraps of approval, wondered what life might have looked like if he had written this when I was still willing to bend. Then she vanished. That girl was gone. I tore the check straight down the middle, then again, and again, until it was nothing but confetti, small, fluttering shreds that looked almost festive scattered across our granite counter. I took a picture. Then I opened the Montgomery family group chat. Mom, Dad, Bella. I typed, I don't sell my silence. I'm gifting it to you for free as a parting gift. Do not contact me again. My thumb hovered for 3 seconds. I pressed send. 3 dots appeared almost immediately. Disappeared. Reappeared. Stopped. Whatever they were going to say was too little, too late. I scrolled to the top of the chat, tapped the 3 dots, and selected Leave Group. A confirmation popped up. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. Leave. The thread vanished. New Year's Eve arrived, wrapped in Seattle rain. Nate's parents' house was warm and loud, humming with the kind of chaotic joy that didn't have to be performed. Meredith's pot roast filled the air, rich and comforting. Nate's nephew sprinted through the living room with a sparkler he absolutely was not supposed to have indoors. His sister shouted after him, laughing. The dog stole a dinner roll straight off a plate. His dad pretended not to see. It was messy and human and utterly unlike the curated perfection I grew up with. And they loved me, without conditions, without quotas, without rankings or unspoken contests against my sister. They simply loved me. Before the countdown, Nate tugged my hand gently. Come on, he whispered. Let's get some air. We stepped out onto the back porch. The Seattle skyline glowed faintly under the mist, the Space Needle blinking through the fog like a lighthouse. Fireworks thudded in the distance, muffled by clouds. Nate wrapped his arm around me, pulling me into his side. I tucked my head against his shoulder, breathing in cedar and laundry detergent and warmth. Hey, he murmured, one question. I looked up at him. Any regrets? The porch light flickered gently behind us. Somewhere inside, someone turned up the music. The house pulsed with life. And for a moment, the ghost of the Montgomery estate flashed in my mind. The empty chairs, the crisp check, the recycled invitations buried under 8 months of lies. But the bitterness didn't come back. Instead, I thought of the girl who tied velvet ribbons by hand, who waited for a family who never came, who held out hope longer than she should have. I thought of the woman I became when I finally let go. Not one, I said. A firework bloomed gold above the skyline, scattering sparks across the foggy sky. Nate leaned down, kissed my forehead, and the world felt impossibly soft. Inside, his family cheered as the countdown began. 10, 9, 8. I smiled. I'm not the Montgomery daughter anymore. I am Aurora Vance, architect of lands, and finally, the architect of my own life. I cleared the weeds. I burned the rot. And in the soil that remained, something real began to grow. Snow still clung to the edges of the Seattle sidewalks the morning after New Year's. The city washed in that strange winter quiet, soft, pale, and waiting. Inside Nate's parents' house, breakfast was a warm, bustling mess of toast crumbs, shared stories, and leftover pot roast repurposed into hash. The kind of morning where nobody tiptoed, where love filled all the corners without trying. I don't know when it happened exactly, somewhere between Nate's sister handing me a mug of coffee with a wink and his mom insisting I take the softest scarf she owned because Texas doesn't teach you how to dress for cold, sweetheart. But something settled inside my chest. A sense of place, of belonging, of home. Not the one I came from, the one I chose. Later that afternoon, while Nate was showing his nephew how to fix a crooked Lego tower, my phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. For a heartbeat, I froze. But it wasn't my family. It was a notification from my email delivery service. A new message from an unknown sender. Subject line, non-disclosure. My stomach went cold. I opened it. A scanned image popped up. The Montgomery Estate letterhead, an attached contract, my father's signature. The amount? $100,000. Not for silence this time, for reputation management. A formal request that I sign an NDA preventing me from discussing. The merger collapse, Preston breaking the engagement, Bella's actions, or the events of Christmas Eve. In exchange, they would financially compensate me for distress and reestablish amicable family relations. $100,000. I stared at the screen. My pulse thudded once, hard. Behind me, Nate's mother hummed softly as she rolled pie dough, her gold bracelet clinking against the marble counter. Across the room, Nate laughed as his nephew declared himself Chief Architecture Officer of Legoland. For a brief second, I imagined the version of me who might have signed. The Aurora who still thought her parents' approval meant stability. The Aurora who wanted to fix things. The Aurora who believed their love was just buried, waiting to be uncovered. But that Aurora died the night Bella threw away my invitations. And she was buried the moment they tried to turn my wedding into a punchline. She was cremated when they denied everything with straight faces. And her ashes scattered when a stranger named Harrison called my father irresponsible in front of the entire family. The new Aurora, the one standing barefoot in a warm kitchen surrounded by people who actively loved her, she didn't need $100,000 to feel whole. I closed the PDF, pressed the power button on my phone, and breathed. A few hours later, Nate and I walked hand in hand down the block toward the water. The sky was bruised purple, streaked with silver clouds. We found a bench overlooking the bay, the wooden slats cold beneath us. He squeezed my hand. You're quiet. I exhaled. They sent an NDA. His jaw tightened. For how much? 100,000. He gave a slow whistle. They're panicking hard. They think it's enough to rebuild something, I said softly. Something they let collapse years ago. He studied me for a long moment, eyes warm, steady. What do you want to do? I rested my head on his shoulder, watching waves break against the rocks. I want to live a life where my worth isn't a negotiation, I said, where apologies aren't written on checks. He nodded, brushing a thumb over my knuckles. Then we don't sign. We don't sign, I echoed. That evening, back at Nate's parents' house, I pulled out my laptop. The kitchen was quiet now, just the ticking of the antique clock and the murmur of the dishwasher. I opened a blank email, typed slowly. To Richard Montgomery. CC Trinity Montgomery. BCC myself. Subject, non-disclosure. No, do not reach out to me again. Attached a single file. A screenshot of the NDA with the word declined written across it in bright red digital ink. I hit send. Not angrily, not triumphantly, just peacefully. It felt like setting down a heavy thing I had carried too far. 2 weeks later, Nate and I returned to Austin. Life resumed gently. Morning jogs along the trail, late-night ramen, quiet kisses in the kitchen while pasta water boiled, architectural drafts scattered across my office desk. Sometimes the memory of that Christmas Eve flickered like a shadow on the wall, but it no longer lived inside me. It was simply something that had happened, but it wasn't something that owned me. My parents never replied. Bella didn't either. And that silence, the same silence that once hurt, now felt like freedom finally granted. Spring arrived early in Texas. One warm morning, Nate and I drove out to the hill country to look at a plot of land for a future house. Wildflowers dotted the field, blues, purples, yellows, swaying under the sun like tiny flags of possibility. I stood at the top of a gentle slope, the breeze tugging my hair as I took it all in. Space. Quiet. The sound of leaves rustling like whispers of what could be. Nate slid an arm around my waist. What do you think? I smiled. I think, I said, that for the first time in my life, I'm building something for me. He kissed the top of my head. Let's build it together. I looked out over the land, my future, knowing the truth with a certainty that felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. I had lost a family, but I had gained a life, and in the end, that was the better inheritance.